starting with Man City and that APT ruling. I mean, the first rules found none and void. Do you expect a similar verdict for the updated rules from late last year?
Um, well, from what we know, City is saying that the exclusion of historic shareholder loans, i.e., making all of the new APT rules forward-looking and distinguishing that from historic sponsorship and other commercial arrangements, that's unlawful. And so City say that therefore the new rules are also unlawful and need to be rewritten such that you have to cross out all of that, what's known as transitional provisions within the rules. That would leave the rules looking a lot like 2021's rules plus shareholder loan provisions, but we don't know whether they'll win. I think the problem that the Premier League have got is there is a risk, and the risk is the key point, because they just don't know when they go into that tribunal whether they're going to succeed. And it seems to me that Richard Masters and his governance team can't really risk another loss. It would just be so embarrassing if they had to accept that the rules that they put in place in November, when City warned them not to, if those are also unlawful. So I still think that the most sensible thing to do for Richard Masters and the Premier League is for them to start discussing with the teams a set of rules that they will all vote for, and that will terminate any further disputes in respect of associated party rules. I think that they've now got from the first tribunal a fairly clear set of parameters by which a set of APT rules can be created. That and this is where City didn't succeed in the APT case. The APT hearing did not say that you can't have any APT rules ever. It pretty much said the opposite. So, you know, the Premier League is right that they did have some successes in that original hearing. And what the Premier League now needs to do is double down, not on trying to force through their own rules, but double down on the fact that they've got a statement that the APT regime can be lawful. And so they just need to find a form that is not going to be subject to a tribunal. As I say, if it goes to a tribunal, they could lose. Nobody knows. There's great lawyers on both sides. Right now, nobody knows which way that second tribunal is going to go.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I mean, in terms of a potential gap between the end of these rules and then potentially getting a new set in place, is there any way we could see an open season, or are any big deals going to be subject to the new rules when they do come in?
Well, I think there's quite a lot of doubt over this at the moment. So the position you've got at the moment is there was definitely a period from the time of the first APT decision through to the time of the November amendments. We now know that there was definitely a period where there were no APT rules. And that's if you're the Premier League or your City, that is definitive now. So if you were to have signed a transaction in that intervening period, then there is a possibility that it didn't need to be subject to any fair market review. There are some wrinkles on that, which I won't go into, but and I doubt anybody actually did it, because it would be quite a bold thing for a club to have done, to have said, we're going to sign a contract, we're not going to put it through the Premier League because we believe that the rules are void. I doubt anybody did it, but so I think it may be theoretical. But there was definitely a period where there were no rules. Now, likewise, if APT does go ahead, if the second APT hearing does go ahead, and the Premier League do lose, then there will have also been a period of a similar nature today, and all of the period since November. We will retrospectively find out that those rules in November were not valid, and therefore that there were no APT rules in the period, and we were effectively just sitting with the RPT rules, the related party rules. But again, nobody knows, and so we don't know whether a club is being bold right now and being a bit aggressive and saying, right, well, we're going to sign it and we'll just see what happens. Somebody might have done that. You just don't know. But in the absence of that, I suspect that the end game here is not a free-for-all, and that all that will happen is ultimately, and that, you know, the various ways in which we will get there. And this is why I say the Premier League should do it quickly and with negotiation. But I suspect the ultimate end game is that we will just have an APT set of rules that looks a lot like the 2021 original APT rules, with some form of shareholder provision, shareholder loan provision bolted on. And then everybody will go about their business as if these disputes never happened. But they're obviously very embarrassing for the Premier League. But as I say, that it's not that hard for the Premier League to get themselves in a position now where they have a set of workable APT rules, if they get people around the table.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, you touched on the shareholder loans there, but in terms of what the Premier League could do, you've also touched on that. But the independent regulator, I've seen a lot of people mention that. Do they have a role to play at all in this?
Not to my mind. I mean, first of all, the independent regulator is going to have a budget of about 10 million quid a year. It's not going to be able to get involved in things like this. It's not. First of all, it's not in their remit. But secondly, it's not going to work practically. And there's no reason anyway why an independent regulator would be better placed to deal with such complex disputes rather than a tribunal. So I very much doubt that this is anything to do with the IFR, and I think it's a bit of a red herring.